Christians pray to this God. And what happens is that the God that they pray to is the preserver. And then there is also the concept that one fine day God is going to destroy the world. And at the end of the world, Christ comes and sends the bad people to hell and the good people to heaven. Now, that concept, that is the destroying of the world. So, in other words, the world has a beginning and it continues and then it ends. Now, this is what in Buddhism called Uppada, Thiti and Bhanga. Uppada is the origin and Thiti is the maintenance and Bhanga is the destruction. So, in other words, somehow people begin to think of imagine. Now, the God of the Christians, the Jews and the Muslims, that God is all in their imagination. They have never seen this God. And even when this Moses, he was the person who spoke about this God to the Jews. And he went up a mountain and he wanted to go and talk to God. And what he saw was a fire. There was no God there to see. What he saw was the fire. And he said, I want to see you. And he said, if you see me, you are going to die. Now this is very important. A person who sees God, is going to die. So no one wanted to die, so they didn't want to see God. So ultimately no one saw this God. You see, this God is all in their imagination. But they believe that he is the creator of the world. And because he is the creator of the world, he has all the powers and they are dominant there. God is the dominant figure there, the all-powerful God. Because people are really worshipping power. When they worship a God of that kind, they are worshipping power. Why do they want power? Because they feel powerless. If they are not powerless, they don't need power. It is because they don't have power. What is the power necessary for? To satisfy your desires. Why do people need power? To satisfy desires. So if satisfying desires is the problem, then God is necessary to get power to satisfy your desire. God, you have a lot of power, please use your power and help me to satisfy my desire. That's the problem. Now, the important thing is that this is what the Buddha pointed out. What you need is not power. Your desire is not realistic. Your desire is not realistic. This is the point. Now, this is what this psychologist called Sigmund Freud. He discovered when he was trying to help these people who are neurotics and psychotics, who were mentally sick, what was the problem they had? He thought these emotions, he saw it as emotions, they are all blind. He saw that in this mind, there are two parts in the mind. One is the emotional part. The other is the rational thinking part. And this thinking part is the part that is aware of the world, the reality of the world. The feeling or emotional part is not aware of the world. Now, the small child is dominated by that emotional part, the feeling part. So the child wants various things. I want that and I want this. Now the parents, their thinking part is grown up. That is why you speak of a grown up. The grown up means not only the body, but the thinking part is developed. So when the thinking part is developed, the parent sees, no, this what you want cannot be got. Now maybe a poor man's child may be saying, I want a car. Now the poor man doesn't have money to buy that car. So how can that desire be satisfied? Or a child might want ice cream or something like that. But there is no ice cream in the house. You have to go out to get the ice cream. But the child is not aware of this. I want ice cream and start crying, you see. So in a similar way, that we have in our mind two parts. And the Buddha saw this. One part is what is called chitta. The other part is what is called mano. Mano is the thinking, reasoning part. Chitta is that emotional part. So the chitta comes in conflict with mano, because the mano says no. Chitta says no, I want. Now this conflict Freud saw as the problem with all the mentally sick people. So I don't want to go into great detail about the Freudian psychology, but the important thing is to understand that it is this emotion which wants to be satisfied all the time, and not only just satisfied immediately. Immediate satisfaction is necessary. And not only immediate, permanent satisfaction is necessary. And so, as a result, we are living in an impermanent world. How can you get permanent satisfaction in the impermanent world? And the other thing is, we cannot satisfy our desires immediately. And sometimes, if I go to satisfy all my desires, I will come in conflict with other people, because other people also have desires. And then I have to fight and quarrel with people to satisfy desire, and in the process someone might even kill me, because I am troublesome. You see, so in other words, these desires cannot be satisfied. This is the problem. So, in order to understand this problem, what do you need? You need your thinking faculty, your intelligence is necessary to think. So this is why the Buddha pointed out that the important thing is not to seek power. What you need is intelligence, wisdom. So what the Buddha offers is the wisdom, not power. Now this is the difference in the way the God believing means worshipping the creator or the powers to get the powerful gods. It's not only the the Christians or the Jews or the Muslims who are doing this. Buddhists are also doing this. How are they doing this? They are going to Kataragama. They are going to Vishnu. They are going to Sai Baba. Why are they doing this? To get power. That power worship is different from wisdom worship. The Buddhist worships the Buddha for his wisdom and his goodness. And there is another thing that happened to the Christians and the Jews. Because with the growth of the human intelligence gradually through history, in the West people came to know one very important thing. That is that law called determinism. That means that everything that happens in the world happens due to the presence of the necessary conditions. In other words, the thunder, lightning, earthquakes and things like that, these are not done by gods or spirits in the world. They are all things that happen due to the presence of the necessary conditions. And when the Western people came to know about this, that was something very much after Christ. That was about the 15th or the 16th and the 17th, those centuries. And this was called the age of enlightenment. Now if you read some history books in the Western history, you come across that word, the age of enlightenment. Now with the coming of the age of enlightenment, people began to lose faith in gods and spirits and all that. Even the religious dogmas, they began to give up. Not everyone. There were people who were still attached to these ideas. But the intelligent people who were the scientists and people like that, there were also some scientists who had faith in these old dogmas. But that age was the time when people began to doubt these things. And that is called the age of enlightenment. But it was the Buddha in the East, long before Christ, 500 years before Christ, that the Buddha came up with this. And that was what is called the paticcasamuppada. Paticcasamuppada means everything that arises when the necessary conditions are there. It's the same thing as determinism. And with this realization, the idea of creator, the idea of gods controlling the world disappeared. And how things happen in the world. Now the whole modern basis of scientific technology is this. Now in ancient times people thought, how can people go up in the air? When people, even during Leonardo da Vinci was an artist who was also fairly scientific man, and he invented a machine to fly. And all the people started trying to kill him. So he got frightened and he drew a diagram and explained how to make this, and he buried it somewhere and thinking the world is not ready for my invention. So, but later, the Wright brothers and other people started making the aeroplane, and now you can go to Sri Lanka if you have the money to buy a ticket and go fly. So all that becomes possible with the growth of intelligence. And as people became more and more intelligent, they made all these different things because they had this belief in determinism, which means that everything happens due to the presence of the... In other words, this is again wisdom. So it is the wisdom that is really helping mankind to face the problems. And so the whole process of Buddhism and the teaching of the Buddha is a matter of growth and evolution of the mind. The growth and evolution. This is the important thing. We have to evolve. Now this evolution is different from the biological evolution. The Darwin's theory of evolution is the biological evolution. Now this evolution of the human man is really the evolution of the human mind. And the evolution of the human mind means really the evolution of consciousness. Because it is the human being who has become conscious of the world properly. And now people are even talking about space flights and even trying to discover the universe. But all that is an expansion of the consciousness. So the main thing is that the human being has become conscious, but not fully conscious. This is the problem. Even this process called consciousness is happening unconsciously. We don't know how we become conscious. Everything is happening unconsciously. Even our thoughts we are not able to control. Now that's why meditation is difficult. Very people don't like to go into meditation because they don't know how to control their mind. This is a problem. Because all mental processes are going on without our knowledge. We think we are conscious of these things, but we are not really conscious. That's the problem. The Buddha's method is to become conscious. This is the meaning of satipatthana. So, I will talk about satipatthana on a later date, but the important thing is that the thing about the Buddha is that Buddha went through an evolutionary process. That is the meaning of becoming a Buddha. And this happens not in one life. Through many lives you have to keep on practicing the paramitas in order to become a Buddha. That means you have to keep on practicing. And the whole purpose of the teaching of the Buddha is to explain to people how a person can evolve to that level. And when a person evolves to that highest point, the process of evolution stops. Why? Because this whole process of evolution, even the biological evolution, started with a mistake. What is the mistake? That is, some molecule was formed, and this molecule, different from other molecules, because it was able to absorb atoms from its surroundings and produce molecules of its own kind. every molecule that is formed is also it breaks down. So there were two processes going on, a building up process and a breaking down process. Today the building up process is called anabolism, and the breaking down process is called catabolism. And both processes together is called metabolism. So that is life. Life is mainly a process of growth and evolution. Gradually, this is how evolution took place. First it was only the formation of one molecule, but gradually more and more molecules being formed and growth occurs. And with that comes evolution. When difficult circumstances come, they had to somehow keep going. And so one important mistake was that this process was trying to become permanent in an impermanent world. Trying to become permanent in an impermanent world. Therefore, every individual had to die. Every individual dies. What remains is not the individual, but the species. So that species begins to continue. So until ultimately the evolutionary process produces the human being, and the human being begins to be able to think and reason out. And not only when the human being is able to properly understand the problem, that the human being sees the solution. And the solution is to stop this struggle for existence. So when the struggle for existence is stopped, by realizing that we are not really existing, there is only the struggle. No one really exists. And if we are not really existing, how can we die? So we don't have to worry about death. So when the human mind has evolved to that level, that person is no more a human being. He has grown above the human level. And at that level, that person becomes all-knowing, knowing everything, and all good. Because the mind gets purified with this knowledge. That means the chitta part is purified, the mano part is improved, and the understanding comes and the solution of the problem, and that becomes the real God. This is the important thing. So when we speak about God with the capital G, this is really the Buddha. Now this way of thinking is different from the theistic way. Now those who believe in God as the creator of the world is called, that kind of belief is called theism. Theism, theism. So theistic thinking. So we have monotheistic and polytheistic. Polytheistic means thinking of many gods. Monotheistic means thinking of one God. And there is another kind of thinking called atheistic thinking. Many people think Buddhism is atheistic. That is not true. Because Buddhism has a God concept, but a different one. And that is called humanistic thinking. The Buddhist thinking is not theistic or atheistic, it is humanistic. Humanistic means we are thinking in terms of the human being, and it is the human being who evolves to the level of God. So God is not an imaginary creator, but God is an actual person, a human being who rises to that level. That is a super is not only Superman. Superman is simply a human being who becomes very powerful through psychic powers. But a Buddha goes even beyond that. And his greatness is not in the power, his greatness is in the wisdom, the understanding, and solving the problem of existence, the problem of life. And that is the true God. So this is the important thing to understand, that when we talk about the Buddha, we can relate this to the idea of God. And God is not just someone living in heaven, that is an angel. God really is a person who is all-knowing, sarvajna. When we say sarvajna, it's the same thing as all-knowing or omniscient. And we say arahang. Arahang means one who is completely purified in mind, and metta, karuna, mudita, upekha, and all these qualities are present in the arahant in perfect form. And so this goodness of the mind and the wisdom, these are the two important things. That is why we say samma sambuddho itipiso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho vijja charana sampanno. Vijja means again the knowledge, and charana means the behavior. Perfect. And sugato lokavidu. Sugato means become good, and lokavidu means understood the world. So all these things are really the qualities of the Buddha, and those qualities are the things that people worship today. Even the theistic religions are worshipping the same qualities. And so this is the important thing today I wanted to speak about, but there are so many things I can say about this, so I don't have the time to go into details any longer. So we can stop here, and if you have any questions, you could ask, and I'll be happy to try to answer.